Hi guys, welcome to Innovator Baat, and I am Rishabh, your host today, and I have a very incredible startup with me, a group of creative minds, innovative minds from IIT Kanpur who are making something possible in India, for which we have been criticized for last 76 years that China is ahead of us, or Japan is ahead of us. They can make robots, but India can't. I have xTerra Robotics with me today, and their founder Aditya. Welcome to the show, Aditya.
Thank you, Rishabh.
And let's start with a question, and we'll be talking regarding the robot. And I think most of this audience who are seeing us today are going to learn from this thing. So thank you so much for being here today. And Aditya, how this thing intrigued you? That you were, I think you were already in some job, and how did you decided to start a startup on a technology which is very nascent in India right now, and like how that idea came to your mind?
So this started as I graduated from IIT Kanpur, where we were building things from scratch. So my experience during IIT Kanpur was mostly around building cars, running those, and finally feeling that powering up, right? Pressing that throttle pedal, moving it. So there was always that interest of building things from scratch, building new things here in India, and that is what, along with other builders here in xTerra Robotics, we have created that passionate team to create these robots here in India. So this journey started with a lab project from IIT Kanpur. The lab is called Mobile Robotics Lab, where we were building initially some toy robots, mostly a wheeled robot that can move around. But then we wanted a bigger challenge, and then we contacted DRDO, Defense Research Labs, to work on something which can be useful for the army. So this started as an army project to IIT Kanpur, and I was constantly interacting with multiple professors as well as people from DRDO to start these things in IIT Kanpur. So going from that point to initially, so I moved to a thesis or a lab work to build these robots, and then we started creating a more bigger team around the same project. So that's how things started, and then more and more people who were interested in realizing our dreams, let's say. So they came in, they joined the lab, they joined the startup, and then through this we created a team called xTerra Robotics. We have been building this since last 4 years. During this time, I was most of the times away doing the job as well. So after graduating, after starting this, I moved to a corporate job, to know what it entails. So I was not aware. I was interested in doing good jobs, good R&D work, but I was not sure what it entails and what I want to do in future. So that's the case with most of the graduates passing out. So to get a taste of it, I went into the industry, an automotive industry, because that was my background. And then in there, I enjoyed the work, but there was not this rush, or there was not that instinct to do more. So there was always a limitation of what needs to be done in next 10 years, next 5 years. And I was intrigued to do something more which can't be done in a bigger corporation. So that's what brought me back with a team that was already building something here in IIT Kanpur. So I joined them, started this company. So idea was to commercialize what was built in IIT Kanpur through this startup called xTerra Robotics, and then serve the army. So that was the starting point.
So you there's a lot of information, and now I have a lot of questions in my mind right now. आपने building team के बारे में बात किया, which is very difficult for startups to start with. Many times they are engaged in convincing people, and since you are a group of IITians, तो हर बार लोगों के दिमाग में रहता है कि भाई we can get a good package and be at a very comfortable job. आप एक जॉब में ऑलरेडी थे, और वो कंफर्ट जोन छोड़ के आए, वो भी बहुत डिफिकल्ट रहेगा. वी विल बी एक्सप्लोरिंग दीज थिंग्स इन दी आगे. एंड लेकिन जो सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट चीज़ आपने अभी बोली, दैट इज़ यू हैड दिस थिंग इन ड्यूरिंग योर बीटेक टाइम ओनली ऑफ क्रिएटिंग फ्रॉम स्क्रैच. अपने रोबोट के बारे में जब हम बात करते हैं, इट्स पीपल कॉल इट अ डॉग रोबोट.
या रोबोट
डॉग. तो क्या हमने इसको पूरा स्क्रैच से इंडिया में बनाया है, हर एक चीज़ इंडिया की है, या आपने फॉरेन से चीज़ें मंगाई हैं? बिकॉज इट्स गोइंग टू बी यूज इन डिफेंस एंड समथिंग इफ़ यू आर यूजिंग समथिंग फ्रॉम आउटसाइड मे बी कॉम्प्रोमाइजिंग.
So most of the things that are going into the robot are indigenous. So are built here, mostly starting from first prototype in IIT Kanpur. We are building motors, we are building motor drivers, gearboxes. So that is one of the essential component to drive these kinds of robots. So we have gone through iterations, starting with some Kanpur manufacturers, exploring the Indian ecosystem, learning about things, iterating over things. And that's how we are able to maintain a good indigenization content. Definitely there are important chips that are not being built currently in India, but we would look for other Indian companies to come forward and build those chips for robotics. So that is something that could help us make it more indigenous. So the idea has always been key content should be from India, or if we are capable of it, we build it. If not, we get support from companies in India itself, mostly startups who have started this manufacturing initiative as well to build let's say motors. So that is something which we have focused towards.
अभी जब अपन रोबोट्स के बारे में बात कर रहे होते हैं तो हर इंजीनियर का एक एक्चुअली सपना होता है खुद का रोबोट बनाना. सबने आयरन मैन देख रखी है एंड हाउ टोनी स्टार्क बिल्ड्स हिज ओन सूट, और सब उसके साथ वो जार्विस काम कर रहा है. ऐसे थॉट्स आते थे जब आप काम कर रहे थे?
That is definitely with most of our team members.
Yeah.
So starting with when we graduated or moved to a college, some of the team members were showing कि we had Iron Man posters in our rooms, or we wanted to build things. So that passion of building is common across all founders, and that is what drives us to work hard, work for longer durations, and even take some failures as well. So that is something which that combines us or makes us a team.
तो क्या फ्यूचर में अपन या आपने अभी यूज़ किया है जार्विस जैसा टेक्नोलॉजी, मशीन लर्निंग, AI, और इस पे क्या प्लान्स आपके?
So one thing which I want to highlight is that so we have been using ChatGPT. So it is a powerful tool that we can ask questions to, but can it really act on our behalf? So that is not currently possible. And what we call as a physical AI or an embodied AI is what makes it possible to act at your place. So it could be as simple as picking up a bottle and placing it in a dustbin, right? So if that can be achieved, then we look for more of a general intelligence to be built on a robot. We have such capabilities. We have interacted with the robot through language, through different languages, just by saying stand up or sit down, as simple as that. But then this level of integration of human and the machine would be required in the future and is what we foresee. So building legged robots specifically, which are capable of being around humans compared to some heavy robots which people are used to seeing. This is something that will be the future. Collaborative robots that can be around humans. Definitely safety will come into picture, and then helping us do the dull tasks in households as well. Cleaning dishes, right? You can have specialized robots.
ऐसे मम्मियाँ खुश हो जाएंगी.
Yes. So as in I've been talking to my relatives कि I'm building this. तो they ask me कि एक घर पे भी भेज दो, right? So I can do those tasks, this task. So that is something which we are working towards to make a more generalized robot.
आपने अभी just अपनी आंसर में mention किया about the human machine interaction. So in defense, when we call it a defense robot, so it might be working with the soldiers.
Yes.
So how you are going to ensure a seamless collaboration between a soldier and your robot? Are you working in that, and what is that scenario?
So for soldiers, there are multiple use cases to to look forward to. One is definitely at the close to the border, or where there are untraversable regions, harder regions, hilly areas. So if these robots can carry payloads and walk with humans, so one thing is just be around humans, follow a human. So that is something that can be achieved. And then understanding human instructions. So that is already, I've told that we have tested it in the lab. So it makes it more easier to interact and then carry some tasks. So an action could be just like good example is a bomb diffuser, where I don't want a human to be sent there, right? So if a robot which is capable of navigating and handles the instruction from the instructor from a longer distance as well, so that is something that will change the complete defense industry.
This can be used in the cohort operations, like one we had in 2611. तो वहाँ पे अगर हमारे पास robots होते तो things would have been easier.
So one point
ऐसा रहता है, हम लोग robot के ऊपर gun लगा सकते हैं, can go and shoot everyone.
As in, yes, this is possible, but then again safety and ethics come into picture.
Okay. What if it
so
shoots
there
at us?
are Chinese robots already using or displaying such things, such capabilities. We have not seen any shooting videos, but with guns mounted over the top of these robotic dogs. So Indian Army has also shown a similar interest to arm our robots. But then before that, there needs to be some regulations and safety. With intelligence built in, it should not overtake a human.
So my next question is like beyond the battlefields, how you see this use of this robot, let's say for disaster management, or one you mentioned for border patrolling, because we have a long border with our enemies, be it Pakistan or China. So how this robot is going to be useful at those situations?
So this robot, you can think of it as a platform. So now this platform, which is able to move in difficult terrains, different terrains, and the application, depending on what you are saying, can be built over it. So for border security or surveillance, what you need is a night vision camera to be mounted over the top. So it should be capable of carrying that payload. Then other cameras or audio sensors to detect any audio activities. So this can be mounted with those sensor suits and can be used for patrolling, can be used for even inspection, wherein any suspicious activities can be detected. So therein video intelligence comes into picture. So our idea is to have that capabilities, add those sensors, camera sensors, lidars, as well as night visions to enable a robot to do much more. And then for analytics and for decision making, those AI capabilities can be built as a full stack solution, is what we said.
At one go, how much hour it can perform a task? Like how much hour it can be charged?
So the robot which we have already built, so Swan M2 robot, is a research tool which is already being sold to academic institutions. And this robot can operate up to 1 hour and has a swappable battery. So there is no downtime as such. For particularly research, there is no such need of longer endurance as well.
But in future,
the future, what we are building, so we have already moved to our next version of robot. The endurance which we are looking is close to 3 hours. So 3 or more than 3 hours. So that can be used on the field and should not be required to carry back to the station.
And that too, they will have swappable batteries.
Batteries or even automated charging stations could be placed for longer. As in, if I am doing a security surveillance case and there is a longer, let's say 5 kilometer boundary, I can place it every corner. And then it can go and sit. And there could be multiple robots being used as well for 360-degree surveillance and 24/7 surveillance.
Tony Stark tower, I can imagine of it right now that all the robots are working in
tandem and getting us the live feed every time compared to what we use as a static camera setup, right? It can also invade, as in destruct any anyone entering the building
Oh.
due to its presence, right?
Hmm.
If I just have a camera and then it is detecting there are maybe people not observing it, but if there is a camera built over the top of robot which can alarm the ground station,
Yeah.
and it can also act or can push the person away.
Oh.
So something like that, or even
if
so a physical
weaponized,
presence.
then
Yeah,
also
if
it will-
weaponized, we won't be shooting it, but it would create a alarm on the person doing
Yeah.
it.
And can we communicate through these robots? For I think it's a very like easy technology
Yes.
to put in.
So these robots can then send data to a ground control station, and it can be communicated from a longer
For example,
distance.
I'm sitting in a ground station,
Yes.
and this dog was in patrol, and there's
Yes.
somebody out from outside entering that
Yeah,
region.
so if you
So can I talk to that
Yes.
person through this robot?
yes,
Okay. And what is that range?
so it is usually for RF control. It is close to maximum 3 kilometers. It is ranging from 1.5 to 3.
This can be used by the police also
Yes.
when they are like doing some operations and trying to communicate with the terrorist or someone.
Yes, for hostage situations
Hostage
it can be used.
Yeah.
Just sending a robot first.
Mhm.
In any dangerous situation, sending a robot first helps
Mhm.
with any human life.
Mhm.
So that can be done.
It's really interesting to know about the technology. I would also like to know about what are your plans for a global reach. Like right now you're working for the academic institution, you have plans for entering the defense. You already were engaged with DRDO for some projects. I hope that you're going to have a good market in India. But what are your plans for the global market, or what are your plans for expansion of business in like general? Because you are like right now are a very early stage startups. Most of you guys are engineers. Understanding the difficult terms of business.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
In
what are
terms
those
of global markets, as in first thing is when we were starting this, there was idea that we were the first to launch a quadruped robot for the markets in India, and then going from that, we were not planning to have a bigger market in India specifically, because the B2B adoption in India is harder. As in people would pay $1 in US easier than the people paying 1 rupee in India. So the adoption of robotics with lesser human force, as in the cost of labor as well. So definitely there are larger markets compared to India outside as well. So US, Singapore, and some countries which have already advanced, Japan included. So we are already in talks with them regarding one of the surveillance operations, and so depending on multiple. So one is security and surveillance, which we are talking with global industries, and there are actually alumni connects who are helping us reach out to multiple people. So those who are sitting at higher positions. So this helps being a IIT founder, that you are well connected to the various alumni across. And then we are looking for some operations in ship decks for surveillance. So people who are actually owning multiple industries in those, they have reached out to us, or we have reached out to them for such pilots at this point. So that is something which we look forward to. Seeing in US, one of our founders is actually sitting in US at this point.
Okay.
So he's working with our competitor robots, understanding them. So as well as he's exposed to the US markets as well. So constantly interacting with people who are using similar kinds of products, but then what we offer differently in terms of being it more modular, and then actually collaborating with them. So an industry, we collaborate with them and provide them a specific customized solution. So that is something what even again a bigger industry won't be able to afford.
Yeah.
So that is our target, be it in India as well as be it globally.
Yeah. So how many people are there in your team right now?
So we are a team of total 6 people.
6 people. And most of them, all of them are IITians?
As in there are professors included, but
Okay. Like
Yes.
associated with the ecosystem of IT.
Yes.
IT Kanpur.
Yes.
Okay. So are you planning to like get in someone from business background to your
yes.
company? What are your plans for that?
We have thought about it, as in terms of maybe, so we all come from a technical background, and if someone can understand the market better.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, I am the one who is, let's say, learning things.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I'll be as in stuck in my part. But it's always good to learn. And since we are all first-time founders, right?
Yeah.
Then
First generation entrepreneurs.
first generation.
Everyone?
Yes.
And what is your family background? Sorry. I forgot to
So my parents are teachers.
ask. Acha, teachers.
Yes.
Oh, nice. So were they supportive?
As in, yeah, they were supportive in terms of ki, give me this much time. Give me this much freedom. I've spent my time in industry.
Mm-hmm.
I've saved enough, let's say, to sustain myself,
Mm-hmm.
and they are not dependent on me. So that is a good
Mm-hmm.
point
Yeah.
personally for me.
Mm-hmm.
So then they were supportive to, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
try new things as well as explore opportunities.
Sorry, I interrupted your answer. You were answering for the bringing someone from outside.
Yes. So we had thought about it, but currently I think as in we will be looking for support from some advisors at this point, not a founding role, but advisors in the business or in the market specific to which we will be targeting. So because that would be a varied market. The capability of this robot being used in steel industry, to a construction industry, to a offshore ship industry.
Ship industry.
So all these are there. So a person who understands all things is a good point, but it would be better to have advisors when we pilot programs to have in a particular field. So that is what we are working towards.
Ocean, I just remember I have a cousin from IT Delhi and he's working in the ocean engineering field, and there are robots which are used to go inside and bring out the, like, I think the petroleum thing.
Yes,
So-
underground robots, yeah. that
But
is a
right now
different
those
field.
are all from outside. Mostly they are from Japan. How is our robot? What is our robot's USP when we compare it from outside? Is like Indians are known for their technology, which is very different from outside and very
Yes.
cheap ones as well.
So when we compare it to outside, the technology, I would be honest that the first technology which was built around these legged robots was close to 20 years back in US. But then there have been mostly, as in there have been a lot more pour of money in the projects, and they have been continuously doing R&D, but not commercialization. And then in the last 4-5 years is what we have seen commercialization of these robots. So they are already in the market, a similar kind of robot. But what we do here is, one thing is we are removing the reliance of imports from other countries, as well as we are developing a cost-effective solution.
Yeah.
And then when we deal with certain customers, we would like to be
Then
more
have the
customized or
Yeah.
specific to them. So that is what we differently offer.
Yeah.
And in terms of technology, I think we have to reach a comparative level. We are still, let's say, taken a big step, but there are lots of steps to be taken forward to beat in terms of technology.
Yeah.
And I think this would require support from the complete infrastructure that we are building of manufacturing hardware industry, which is currently growing, as in they have recently picked up pace. So that would be
For the robots in
for
India.
the robots in India, yes. So
Yeah.
for the robots as well as the complete manufacturing space, if I want to manufacture something with a particular precision, are there capabilities to manufacture with precision at a certain price point? So that is something that needs to be developed. If I compare it to China, they are commoditizing everything,
Yeah.
right? So the price to compete with China, we have to build that infrastructure. So that is something we also look forward to. And as in, I've worked in India as well as outside. So I was part of the United Kingdom team as well. So with my last company. So I've experienced the culture there, seeing things move as in, especially in terms of the capital investments from the government as well as from different investments as well, particularly to build things. So they have a leverage in terms of, let's say, they're building a thing in $1 billion and we building the same thing, making it cost effective in $1 million. So that is what Indians would do differently.
There's a big difference.
Yes, and that is something which the space industry is also doing.
ISRO is doing.
Yes.
how is your experience right now? I want to understand that thing. You were in a corporate job. You were learning every day, and I think it was a good experience. You got a job from just after the
Yes.
graduation. So how are these two lives different? What are the challenges or
Okay.
the things you are experiencing right now?
So
How is it good also? That also you can.
So I joined Jaguar Land Rover just after graduation,
Mm-hmm.
and I worked there for close to 3.5 years. It was an amazing job.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed working,
Mm-hmm.
but then there was a certain pace how things move along with the people surrounding it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at the end, it was as in I was getting comfortable, and since as in starting from college, I've been a avid fan of Formula One, and one of the quotes, which is from Mario Andretti, is if you are feeling comfortable enough,
Mm-hmm.
you are just not going fast.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something that was something which just stick with me,
Mm-hmm.
and then I wanted to move fast,
Mm-hmm.
or wanted to try out new things,
Mm-hmm.
which even in job I was trying to.
Mm-hmm.
I was pushing my manager to do things or move things faster.
Mm-hmm.
And at a certain point, it was as in he was also supportive. He was supporting me in doing new things, and I was seeing the complete culture. I was moving around in the organization as well, depending on what I want to explore. So, at a complete level, it was a wonderful experience. And then, at one point, I was like, it is, as in I've experienced it, and now I'm saturated in certain sense, and I want to do change my paths, move from a comfortable to an completely uncomfortable position, leaving a high paying job. So then I came back to IIT Kanpur. I discussed with the members who are already working on this to build a startup, and the journey started from there. We in the last 6-8 months I've learned things which I would never try in a job. So that is something which is unbeatable. Even if you fail, even if you are doing bad at certain things, you won't experience these things working in a corporate. So that always, let's say, motivates us to continue.
I would like to understand the view of yours for the ecosystem which IIT Kanpur has built inside for last 20 years, and we are supporting not only the IITians, but also there are people working who have done their graduation or studied outside. They are working here. So how is that experience? What do you feel about the ecosystem which is inside IIT, which supports startups? And there's also a commercial unit called Technopark, wherein you can do commercial activities. So what is that experience of yours?
So one thing which I want to highlight is, as in initially when I was in the campus, I was not realizing that much what is the importance of being in campus, working in this surrounding. When I was out there, I did understand what is the facilities that are being provided at certain cost, which we are not bearing at all, as in which does not cross our mind. So that is invaluable in terms of facilities, the labs which we are accessing, the faculties which are available, the mentors as well, as in the guides from SIIC or various connects, the people visiting IIT Kanpur, meeting them. That is something which is invaluable compared to being outside the campus. And sometimes my friends reminds me कि I think IIT Kanpur के startups ज़्यादा हो रहे हैं. As in there are more IIT Kanpur startups. Is there something specific to IIT Kanpur?
Yeah.
And that also I realized when he said that कि I have friends, seniors who have started a company, multiple friends who have started companies whom I interact constantly with. So there is a culture that is developing of starting from IIT Kanpur.
Is it because of the thing which is being promoted in the campus of risk-free innovation, that you can drop your few semesters and work for your startup and still gain the credits and I think SIC also offers some kind of money that will help you to sustain yourself when you are hustling in that part.
That plays a factor, but at the end it
Were you
comes
informed?
down.
Were you informed when you were in BTech about this thing?
No, as in I was not much aware of it. I was
Okay.
interacting with, as in I was working with startups here who were incubated here,
Mm-hmm.
but I was not aware of most of the policies.
Okay.
But that does impact certain decision. But it is mostly the interaction between a junior and a senior.
Yeah.
That how does it feel for a person to interact with person who is doing a startup, right? And how does it motivate them कि हाँ ये लोग ये कर रहे हैं, and mostly the team culture and the building culture which I have been part of, robotics clubs or SAE, automotive engineering club. All these clubs are constantly working for longer hours. Then they see their seniors starting their own companies, sticking with that team, building something of their own, building in India. So that motivates people to go that route. So it's mostly the culture and the people, and definitely the facilities and the gains from SIIC plays a role.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Aditya. I think this was a very insightful discussion today we had. One last sorry, I'll take it again. One last advice you want to give it to the people who are right now comfortable in their corporate job but have something in their mind to do but are not able to come out, and what is that advice you want to give to the audience?
So I would like to point out that, as in, if you are thinking of something, then so first, usually when I was leaving my job, there is always a safety net which we look back to, as in definitely you would hear that कि हाँ second option नहीं रखना चाहिए, but there is always a safety net of what you have grown up to or what the skills you have developed. And at the end, if you want to, let's say, do a job, you can always do that. But if asked to take a leap to do something more than a job, then just start. Have that in mind कि हाँ, what is the worst case that could happen? Worst case is that you could fail, or maybe you could move to a different idea. But constantly iterating over ideas, working on your own field with that freedom, take that leap. And I think, as in most of the IITians especially are privileged कि they have multiple opportunities to explore, and if they don't let's say succeed in their startup or they continue to explore, they will always have something to fall back to. So it's better to take more chances and just be brave to take a step.
Thank you so much, Aditya, for being with us in this podcast, and we hope great success for xTerra Robotics, and we want it to be a unicorn someday. Thank you so much.